At first glance, complex sentences may seem difficult, but once you look into it a little bit more, it's really pretty easy. So a complex sentence equals an independent clause combined with a dependent clause. Now the way that we get dependent clauses is the really, really easy part. All that we do is we take an independent clause, and we talked about that before with subjects and verbs, and then we add a subordinating conjunction. So we add like the word after with a subject and verb. So if your clause before would have been, I found $1, then by adding a single word to the beginning of that, or a couple of words, then you turn that into a dependent clause. So, after I found $1, once I found $1, since I found that $1. In all those examples, though, once you have a dependent clause, once you add one of those subordinating conjunctions, then it can no longer stand on its own. So then you need another independent clause to pair with it to really prop itself up. In the first example, we have, since someone left the freezer door open, all the food thawed and was ruined. So we added one of those words, we added since to someone left. So there we have our dependent clause. Whenever you begin your sentence with a dependent clause, then you're going to have a comma after that. Then we look on the next part and we had food thawed was ruined. So there's a subjects and verbs after that. So then that means that our formula is D, I. Dependent clause, comma, independent clause. Example, we have after the tornado destroyed the town, many people donated to charity. And so we have the word after, which is one of our subordinating conjunctions. Then we combine that with the subject and verb, tornado destroyed. And then because the dependent clause begins the sentence, then we have a comma after that. And then we close the sentence out with the subject and verb, people donated. The next type of complex sentence is an ID. And in this one, the dependent clause is at the end of the sentence. Notice that there is no comma in this case. Commas only go if you start off the sentence with a dependent clause. The only real exception is if you have the word although in there, and then it would be I, D. But otherwise, it would just be ID. In this first sentence, we have I will paint the house whenever I have some free time. So if we look for the dependent clause, we have the word whenever. Then we have a subject and verb after that. I have, whenever I have some free time. And there's no comma because it's at the end of the sentence. Another sentence, she bought a new purse because her nephew poured soda into her old one. So if we look for the dependent clause, we have the word because, then we have the subject and verb after that. So once again, we start off with an independent clause. So we had a subject verb, she bought. Then we closed out with a dependent clause, because nephew poured.